Have you ever had someone so stuck in your head that you couldn't eat, sleep, or think straight? You check your phone every 5 minutes hoping for a message from one specific person. You replay a 3-second glance they gave you like it was the most important moment of your life. That is not just a crush. That is not just love. That is something far deeper, far more consuming, and far more misunderstood. That is called limerence. And today we are going to go deep into exactly what it is, why it happens, and why it feels like you are losing your mind. Most people have never even heard the word limerence. But almost every single human being on this planet has felt it at least once. It was first named by psychologist Dorothy Tennov back in 1979. She spent years interviewing hundreds of people about their romantic experiences. And what she discovered was not just love and not just attraction. She discovered a completely separate psychological state that takes over your entire mind. She called it limerence. Since then, researchers, therapists, and neuroscientists have studied it closely. And what they found will completely change the way you understand your own emotions. So let us get into it. Limerence is an involuntary obsessive mental state directed at another person. The person feeling it is called the limerent. The person they are obsessed with is called the limerent object, or simply the loe. And here's the first thing you need to understand about limerence. You do not choose it. It chooses you. It hits you like a lightning bolt and then refuses to leave. It fills your every waking thought with one single person. And the terrifying part is you cannot think your way out of it. You think about this person constantly, sometimes for 15 or 16 hours a day. You analyze every single thing they say to you, looking for hidden meaning. A simple hey from them can make your entire week. A slow reply can send you spiraling into anxiety and self-doubt. You imagine scenarios where they finally tell you they feel the same way. You picture conversations, confessions, moments of connection in vivid detail. You put them on a pedestal so high that they no longer resemble a real human being. You see only their best qualities and explain away every flaw. Your heart races when you see their name on your phone screen. You feel physically sick when you think you might have pushed them away. Sound familiar yet? Here's where it gets really interesting. Scientists have discovered that limerence activates the exact same brain pathways as addiction. Dopamine floods your brain every time you get a signal of interest from your loe. But here's the key part that makes it so addictive. The reward is unpredictable. Sometimes they respond warmly and sometimes they go cold. Sometimes they seem interested and sometimes they seem distant, and your brain cannot figure out the pattern. So it becomes completely obsessed with solving the puzzle. This is called a variable reward schedule. It is the same psychological mechanism that makes gambling so hard to quit. Your brain keeps pulling the lever hoping for the jackpot. And that jackpot is reciprocation. Your dopamine levels surge every time you think about or interact with your low. Your norepinephrine levels spike, which is why you feel hyper-alert and anxious around them. Your serotonin levels actually drop during limerence. Studies show limerent individuals have serotonin patterns similar to people with OCD. That is why the thoughts feel intrusive, involuntary, and impossible to shut off. This is not you being dramatic. This is your brain chemistry working against you in real time. This is one of the most important distinctions you will ever learn about yourself. Love is stable, grounded, and grows through real knowledge of a person. Limerence is unstable, frantic, and built on an idealized fantasy. Love can survive certainty. Limerence actually dies when certainty arrives. If your low completely and clearly rejected you, the limerence would begin to fade. If your low fully and consistently loved you back, the obsession would also cool down. Limerence needs uncertainty to survive. It feeds on the maybe. It lives in the space between yes and no. That is what makes it so dangerous and so hard to escape. Limerence is not all butterflies and poetry. It has a genuinely dark and painful side that people rarely talk about. You start neglecting your own life because one person consumes all your mental energy. Your work suffers. Your friendships suffer. Your sleep suffers. Your self-worth becomes completely tied to how this one person responds to you. Unrequited limerence can cause emotional pain as intense as grief. Some people describe it as feeling like they are going insane. And the hardest part is that nobody around you fully understands why you cannot just move on. Because from the outside, it looks like a simple crush. But from the inside, it feels like your whole world revolves around one single person. Limerence can happen to anyone regardless of age, gender, or emotional maturity. However, People with anxious attachment styles tend to experience it more intensely. Those who grew up in emotionally unpredictable environments are often more susceptible. People who lack a strong sense of self or who feel emotionally unfulfilled are also at higher risk. And one of the most painful truths about limerence is this: it can happen even when you are already in a committed relationship. That does not make you a bad person. It makes you a human being whose emotional needs may not be fully met. Limerence typically ends in one of three ways. First, they definitively and clearly rejects the limerent. Second, the limerent enters a real relationship with the low and limerence transforms into genuine love. Third, the limerent transfers their feelings onto a new person. That third one is more common than people want to admit. And it explains why some people jump from obsession to obsession without ever finding peace. They are not falling in love repeatedly. They are experiencing limerence on a loop. The first step is simply naming what you are experiencing. Understanding that this is limerence and not destiny is incredibly powerful. Reducing or eliminating contact with the low you gives your brain's reward circuits time to reset. Social media makes this extremely difficult because it gives you constant access to their world. Unfollowing, muting, or blocking is not petty. It is necessary for your healing. Therapy, particularly cognitive behavioral therapy, can help you challenge the idealized image you have built. Journaling helps you separate the real person from the fantasy version living in your head. Building a rich and fulfilling life outside of this person is the most powerful long-term strategy. And perhaps most importantly, be gentle with yourself. Limerence is not a sign that you are broken. It is a sign that you are deeply human. So let me ask you something right now. Has anyone in your life ever made you feel this way? Have you ever been so consumed by someone that you did not recognize yourself anymore? Now you have a word for it. Now you understand the science behind it. Now, you know you are not alone and you are not crazy. Limerence is real, it is documented, and millions of people are quietly living through it right now. If this opened your eyes or described something you have been feeling, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because the first step to healing anything is understanding what it actually is. And now you do.